Hello, hi, howdy, hi. It's Robert Jordan from Capful of Ghost Electronics. I've been taking some time off. I took a while off, and now I'm kind of feeling, I've been kind of ramping up to come back, been making some synth stuff, doing some synth stuff, and now here I am. So I thought I'd do kind of an update of what I've been up to, what's happening, what kind of exciting stuff are kind of brewing away in the background, and hopefully is gonna become a thing, become a synthesizer that you can use, or a tool that you can build, and keep it on with the open source stuff that I've been doing in the past. So only about 25 of these got made, but people were pretty interested in them. The TBar, so it's a voltage source / attenuator. It's all made out of this laser cut bamboo ply. Lovely feel. If you look closely, you can see that the part of our TBar here is actually just pulling a fader backwards and forwards. So made about 25 of these, got them out in the world. People were into them, but they were very hard to build, and I wasn't super kind of happy with them. There's lots of parts about the design, and it took a very long time to construct them, and so their price, if I'd kept on making them, would have got a bit higher than I would have liked. So I sat down and I thought, well, what can I do? Can I 3D print something? Can I 3D printing? Oh, it just looks so bad. It looks so cheap. It's just such a bad association. It's about how strong it is. Something that I just won't have to do quite so much kind of building. And laser cutting is just not really as accurate as I would like. The machines get uncalibrated over time. There's warping in the sheet. If you like, a big piece of wood will have warping in it, and so that was something that was making things difficult. I was getting parts that I just couldn't use because they were just like a bit out of spec. And one of the good things about 3D printing stuff is it's much closer to being in spec, much closer to being the size I wanted. And finally, I feel like I've made a bit of headway with this thing, the TBar 1. So whilst this is 3D printed, could you tell? Yeah, kind of barely. So it's powdered nylon, process kind of similar to SLS. Beautiful feel, nice matte black. A little flexible, but snaps right back. And the idea here is, thanks to some clever gearing inside, we get the full turn of a pot here. So that means that, similar to the other design, but consuming a lot less space, at least in terms of the slider part, we are able to use it for attenuation, for voltage. It can be unipolar, bipolar, put 5 volts on one end, -5 on the other, and now you're fading between those two. Stick an op amp on the output. So, and, not as cheap as the laser cut wood in terms of material cost, but definitely in terms of time, getting these printed and sent, time comparison, no competition. This is definitely cheaper, and it's got a nicer finish. It's definitely stronger. This is designed to be a sort of size for size replacement of the very popular APAM fader. Except the gear comes out the bottom, which the APAM one doesn't do. So I'm hoping this is going to be a thing, either in a module or, kind of by themselves, something kind of cool that, is better than just like twiddling knobs and all that kind of stuff. Something that's got a bit more kind of feel and a bit more kind of oomph to it. Which, speaking of feel and oomph, dun, 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 here's something I've had around for a little while. It's called the Synth Duct BT. I don't know if this is backwards for you. This might be backwards for you. Synth.bt. So, Synth.bt. What is it? It is a number of passive synthesizer tools that I've stuck together on this beautiful matte black ENIG gold circuit board here. That when you build it all up, what do you get? A bit of this and a bit of this and some touchy bits and these things. So the idea is that you get a whole bunch of little passive tools that you might, God forbid, waste your Eurorack sort of HP on. The classic 1/4 inch to 3.5 mono adapter. You get 2 multiples, different form factors, one where all the multiples face in the same direction. So, you know, you aim that at your rig and one with the classic quad. You get 2 little touch points. So, you know, you plug one into a CV source, the other into your filter CV, and you can kind of play it with your fingers. We've got these touch holes there, so you can, you know, solder to your case or put a crocodile clip on here and run it out to some other piece of metal. As long as it's conductive, you can kind of touch it and get a feel for it. These attenuators, it's your classic passive attenuator. You turn a knob, but it's also got a mute switch on the side, so you can also permanently mute it. And then this switch here is a stutter button, so it bypasses the mute and the attenuation. So the idea is that if you want to go full volume or you want to like punch something through, you can just click it. And then the final part is this 3-in 1-out gate combiner. So nice low voltage drop diodes here. You know, and hopefully this is gonna become a thing soon. You know, maybe even a Kickstarter so that I can get the price as low as I'd like by getting people to, you know, Kickstarter pre-order. But yeah, the idea here is all these kind of cool little tools that, you know, that you like always need, and you know, you always need more of. Hopefully you can just like stick this in your bag with your cables. And also it looks so damn good. Oh, matte black ENIG. Oh, so beautiful. Will there ever be another video equations? Will there ever be another video equations? If you are one of the people who's been emailing me asking me if there will ever be another video equations over the last 2.5 years or so, saying, can I get a kit? What can I do with them? Yeah, there is. So I've finished the design for a slightly more compact video equations that is both standalone and Eurorack. It's going to have a proper PCB front plate, so won't have to worry about the kind of cracked acrylic. And I mean, this was a pain to build because there's 2 layers of acrylic, 1 layer of laser cut wood, all kind of stuck together. Beautiful. It's still going to have that kind of style and flair, but be a bit more robust. So I have finished the designs on it. It's a lot feels like it's changed since I made the original video equations, which crack out here. Come here. Ooh, with the glass wood back. Feels like a lot has changed since I made the video equations. So CV controllable, sort of exploratory video synth. I think it was the second Kickstarter I ever did, the second product I launched. Very cool. Learned an insane amount trying to make this sort of monstrosity not only work but also like have a real sort of style and aesthetic of its own, and really sort of, yeah, be like true to itself in a lot of ways. And so I'm hoping that this new design, it's gonna be a bit smaller. It's gonna do away with some of the bulk, but exchange that for, I guess, more like, it's gonna be more like halfway between these two. Halfway between the big full-size original and the Eurorack version. And yeah, and there are things I really wanted to do on this original one, like this expansion port, that I just never really got to do. That the kind of things that I would have put in an expansion port, I want to like build in from the start. You know, there's this discussion of, do you make a module and then an expander for it? And there are advantages and disadvantages of doing that, but it's like, I wish I had made it so that those expanded features were available from the start. And there are a few decisions I made with this. This is essentially just the standalone one. Swap for S&D parts and just cram together on this sucker. And it's not great. I wish, people were just asking about it, and so I whipped these up, and I'd never planned to kind of go into production with them, but as I just sold more and more, they kept getting more and more expensive, and all the custom work that I was doing for people adding screens and stuff, all the little kind of nagging things about it and the way I designed it kind of got more and more annoying. And so I stopped producing it, I let it go, and then, now it feels like it's going to come back. Now it feels like it's going to be a real thing again, which is very cool, which I'm very into. The last kind of updatey thing, synthesizer-wise, are these. So, Music is Math Supercomputer is an idea that has been consuming parts of my mind for a pretty long time. I've really been like obsessed with trying to work out how can I have this big kind of sort of like logic system, like an analog computer, where you can patch all the stuff together, but not so complex that it's like a breadboard where it's all kind of, everything gets lost and things aren't clearly labeled. And I really want it to do what it says, where you can see what it does. This example is 2 ADCs, input A, analog signal goes in, and 3-bit binary comes out. Input B, analog signal goes in, and 6-bit binary comes out. So, between 0 and 6. And then this is a classic kind of slightly dark faceplate, which is something I need to fix when these become production. This is just your classic logic, and, or, NAND, NOR. Completely separate gates, one of each. This might seem quite big for a logic gate. Yeah, the hopeful redesign will pack these together so that you'll get more than just 4 gates. And then each of these little holes, so there's an LED behind each of the little holes that shines through the acrylic, which, hey, maybe it'll go PCB, maybe it won't. We'll see what happens in the pricing. But made a bunch of these, sent them out to people. They were all just prototypes. Really wanted to kind of get it together. I found that I was just spending way too much time, working on stuff and building stuff, and not as much time using or playing stuff, and not as much time designing new stuff, which is part of what I really love. I'm not absolutely crazy about soldering. I love soldering, and I've done it for a very long time, as insane things like this are a tribute to. But it's not, when you've got like a huge stack of circuit boards that you need to knock out, it's not great. It's not like it fulfills you. And so I've really been, especially with this Music is Math supercomputer thing, this analog computer idea, where there will be all these kind of modules that are hopefully like, you know, interesting and unique and binary operations, and they all run in such a way that they don't necessarily need a Eurorack power supply. They can run off a Eurorack power supply, but they can also as easily just run off a 9-volt wall wart or a 12-volt wall wart. And I'm hoping that that's going to mean that people will be able to build these rigs with them that won't take up their expensive, you know, bipolar rack rails and all their like voltage on this, but they'll be able to build these kind of large, relatively cheap systems for manipulating their binary data and doing all this cool kind of sequencing, patterning stuff, all with that really sort of nice woodcut style. And part of what is going to get me to producing these are cool little rigs like this. So I took some time off to learn Fusion 360 so that I could make cool stuff like this. So this is a jack loader. It takes the classic Funky Kong jack. Let's see if I can do this without tipping it over. A little nub in there. And they drop in. And then a circuit board will drop on top. The legs will poke through and they'll be able to be soldered rather than what I was doing before, which was putting down the jacks, put down the board, and having to kind of do this flipping operation with a piece of cardboard. And I've included some little things at the end, which mean I can take the board and then flip it up and it'll hold it there while I solder the stuff on the back. And I'm hoping that kind of like getting like a bit better, getting a bit more sort of serious about how I'm producing stuff is gonna give me the space to, I guess, like knock more stuff out and be able to like keep products out there for longer and be able to sort of produce them quicker and not have to worry so much about these big stocks of stuff that are lying around. And I mean, like I was keeping stock here, and then the companies that were consigning my synth parts were holding on to a lot of stock there. And it just, you know, when it takes that long to build and then someone is holding on to that stuff that took so long to build, and you are like not able to get them, and then you get an email from someone saying, oh, you know, I really want to get XYZ off you, but you know, you've sent these units overseas, and you say, oh, well, can you buy from blah, 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 but it's not in their country, and people want to go directly from you, and they want to do things like buy in bulk, and they want your other circuit boards and stuff. So yeah, that's stuff, yeah, I feel like I'm in a good place. And hopefully the next kind of thing to come out is going to be this nice, just in time for Christmas, good looking. I want to Kickstarter it because it's going to be like nice and cheap. And what means I can do it cheap is people, you know, buying them, that kind of, that bulk sort of order thing that you get when you do Kickstarter. Means I can do the nice ENIG, you know, this technically counts as 9 different designs on here, because that's the way, you know, the ground planes aren't connected, and that's the way that the PCB manufacturer lists it. And so, you know, like 10 of these is like, I don't know, $100 or whatever. And that's an approximate guess, possibly just because of all the cool routing. But, you know, as soon as you get even just like 30 people interested, that price is already like a reasonable price. And, you know, once you hit like 50 people, 50 orders, then it's, you know, it just gets cheaper and cheaper. Yeah, which means that you can offer these like passive things at a price that actually makes sense. Like when I was doing research for this, I was seeing passive stuff that was like, you know, $60, $70. That's Australian. So convert that to wherever you are. And some of that stuff, you know, makes sense. Like an aluminium front panel is not cheap, and getting printing on an aluminium front panel is not cheap. But at the same time, like, don't waste space in your rack for passive stuff. It just feels a bit silly. So yeah, that's all that stuff. That's all that cool stuff. And I'll probably have some more focused stuff to do with this and the Music is Math Supercomputer as things get a bit closer. But yeah, it's like, yeah, it's feeling good to kind of be back playing with these ideas and hopefully be making some more products again and having some more kind of products out in the world. So thanks for listening. Till next time.